And welcome back to the Credit Authority. Again, I am your host, Rhonda Klch, and I am so excited for the amazing guests that we are able to bring onto our show. And again, today's guest is no different. We have the one and only Super Bowl champ, Gary Brown of the Dream 68 Foundation, who is joining us via remote today. So we are just waiting, and there he is. Hello there, my beautiful friend. How are you?
I am awesome. Good afternoon or morning or whatever it is. Thank you for having me.
You know,
How you doing?
I'm doing great. You know me, one speed. Love to just speak with empowering people in our community and those that serve throughout the United States for adding back. And that by far is you. So let's start with a few things, and then we're going to play a few games in between. So, first of all,
All right.
most people know you as Gary Brown, Super Bowl champ from the Green Bay Packers. Tell me a little bit about your upbringing and how you got involved in football and what football has taught you as an adult.
Um, that could take up all my time, but I'll give you the
You go
fast
for it.
version. So I'm from Brentwood, and I don't say New York or Long Island. I always say Brentwood because Brentwood gets a bad rap. And I'm very proud of where I come from. There's a lot of good that comes out of Brentwood. And coming from Brentwood, not NFL wasn't my dream. I didn't think I was going to make it to the pros. But true story, in sixth grade, I had an assignment to what I want to be when I grow up. And I said I want to be a football player. And I got that letter back 20 years later. And I was like, wow, what an amazing thing. So that gave me the power of understanding that writing something down may bring things to uh, more fruition for you or your dreams. But I went to National Community College, then Georgia Tech, and I was lucky enough to get drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers, which didn't last long. And then I ended up going to Green Bay, where I did not want to go. But sometimes doing things you don't want to do get results. And we ended up making some good friends, having some great seasons, playing with some great people, and winning the Super Bowl. So
I love that.
I I'm a football player, but it's my upbringing, but it's made me the man that I am today.
I love that. So now you end your career, a successful career in football, and you become a philanthropist. You have become such a spearhead for the community, especially serving our youth and underserved population. So tell us a little bit about how you formed Dream 68 and how our audience is able to help support that initiative.
The crossover between being a professional athlete and then going into corporate America or my foundation, it looks good from the outside, but it was a rough transition. Leaving football, I had to deal with my own ego. I had to deal with other people expecting me to do more for them because I played football, thinking that that money lasts forever. And then I went into some hard times on my own with injuries. I was paralyzed for a while. And then there was a guy named Nick Wojcik on the internet, no arms, no legs, paraplegic. He was on a stage on top of a table telling people how to live life. And he's like, "You got problems? You think you're in the dark and you're alone? If you want to get over your problems, help somebody else with theirs." And the day I volunteered to start mentoring, my life changed, and I didn't understand why or how. And I should have played lotto at that time because I was probably really lucky, but everything got brighter for me. And I knew right then and there that it was my calling, my feel good moment. It was something that was going to help me recover as much as I helped somebody else. And that's how Dream 68 was born. And I take a lot of pride in it, and I do a lot of things and a lot of pain for people and not complain once. But truth of the matter is, it's therapy for me just as much as it is I'm trying to help somebody else.
I love that. And you hit on something that is very relevant to our show, which is that you come back home after your football career and you mentioned the money doesn't last forever. And I think that's a huge, we call it a myth, right? People think because you are in the NFL that that means you are this empowering, wealthy person. So tell us a little bit about the NFL and that transition. Do you receive compensation after the fact? Like, let's just let people understand that you're Gary Brown, you're no longer in the NFL. What does that look like when you leave?
Well, let's in perspective, we people look at NFL players, there's very small fraction, like probably less than 2% that actually walk away from the game. That says, you know what, I got enough money, I got enough fame, I'm okay, I'm gonna walk away. Those Tom Brady's and those guys that can walk away from the game are very lucky. You're very blessed if you were able to play one season in the NFL. That's another small fraction of just making it there. But 90%, 95% of the people that played in the NFL leave not by their choice. They either released from a team, injury, and it's hard to make lifetime money within a year or two or three. I was lucky enough to play 4 years, which qualifies me for a pension. Um, and so I do receive compensation. I am injured, so I do receive compensation. But the bigger picture is that, the myth about the Super Bowl champion coming home, I that was my first bout of depression because all my life I played football up to 20, almost 30 years old. And even after the NFL, I played overseas in Europe. I played another 3 years in Canada, and that's all I knew, my hands and feet. So when I came home, it was hard for me to get a job. It was hard for me to go out in public and deal with people that's like, "Hey, champ," and I didn't feel like a champ anymore because here I am back in my childhood, bedroom trying to figure out what my next move is. I can't get a job. Then I had a back injury and I was paralyzed. And I'm like, now what do I do? I'm laying in a bed alone and I had no answers. But no matter what place you're in and no matter how bad you're doing, you think about your very next move you got to make because that move's got to be made, whether it's today, next week, next year, in 10 years, that same move's got to be made. And after listening to Nick Vujicic, I made that move and it saved my life because that gave me something to focus on instead of being pity patty and worrying about what other people think. I was a person that walked into an establishment and was like, "Hey, the champ's here," and I'm like, "Give everybody a round," but I couldn't pay my mortgage, and those are things, those are stereotypes that you get into as an athlete and also as the fan. So I had to make that disconnect, which was hard. Like, no, I'm not the football. I did what I did, but I'm not that football player anymore. I have responsibilities. So it was hard transition. And that's just a small, little pebble that I'm talking about because there's a lot of emotion, depression, a lot of mental anguish to go on with, when there's something you're so passionate about and it comes to an end. Now, what do you do? What's your next move? What's your next step?
And obviously, I feel like you don't stand alone in this scenario. Would you say that this is a good amount of the people that are professional athletes, not just football, but professional athletes in general?
Um, I believe it's anybody that had a little bit of fame. Child actors, we look at the news and we see people and we look and say, "Oh, they're so crazy. They got such a great life. How could they do something like that?" Um, you know, they're a superstar. Why do you put yourself in that position? And a lot of times it's pressure. A lot of times it's depression. A lot of times it's your outlet because you don't know what else to do. Fame, money, power is just as bad as any drug that's out there. You need counseling. You need mental. You need to talk to somebody to work through this because it can kill you. It can ruin your life. Just having that can make you feel almost unstoppable, and it gives you a different personality than who you really are. And the sooner you recognize that and get back to yourself, the better you'll be. I was very lucky because I come from a very humble background. My parents, my friends, my family, they will never let me sink too low, and they will never let my head get too big. I walk in the room feeling like Billy Badass, and they'll bust my bubble and bring me right back to earth. But in the same token, on my darkest days, they were there saying, you know what, you are our champion. So, not everybody has that background or has that stability to lean on. So I was very blessed in that factor.
Now, give us, just for the sake of time, tell us a little bit about Dream 68 and the mission that goes behind Dream 68.
So Dream 68 was started because once I started mentoring, it opened my eyes on how much it's needed and how bad it is out there and how many kids have nobody else to lean on. I made it to the NFL, and I want to say that dream started in sixth grade with writing that letter. So Dream 68 is empowering kids to dream. It's empowering kids to follow, write your dream down, write your plan down, and make steps. I don't care what you want to be. You could be whatever you want to be if you put yourself in position to do so. And that's what I teach them. And along with etiquette and how to shake hands and how to look a man in his eye and how to be, a man of your word, mean what you say and say what you mean. All these things that are important that some of these kids, with or without fathers, don't learn, or checking oil or putting air in a tire, or whatever it may be. I try and go beyond the scope on educating them because a lot of the teens get in trouble when they don't know any better or when in a situation where they're following the crowd instead of being their own person. I want them to have the ability to dream and to grow into whatever they want to be and be a functional part of society moving forward.
Well, I will tell you, you are an inspiration not only to myself, but my children, as you know, think very highly of you. And, to everybody in our community, you are a stellar citizen. So I am glad that I have the opportunity to call you my friend. And with that, I appreciate the time that you took out today to share your words with our audience. And hopefully, I'll get to see you soon.
Yes, ma'am. And tell Ryan, happy belated birthday.
I will.
I love you, your family, and your friends. Thank you so much.
You got it. Thank you. We are with Gary Brown, Dream 68, better known as Gary Brown, Super Bowl champ of the Green Bay Packers. Stay tuned for our next guest.